Alright, hello everyone. I wanted to make a second tier list video. I know there's a lot of new players that are playing the game, or a lot of people that just don't have the time to grind the game competitively. So I wanted to actually come out with a tier list video for everybody that plays the game a lot more casually, even for new players that are trying to just learn the game, kind of what guns they should be starting with, and kind of where they should go from there, what they should pick up, what they should leave on the ground, what might be a very high skill cap gun that they might want to stay away from right off the bat. But to just give you guys a kickstart from the beginning there of what you might want to use, and give you a couple tips with each one. Take into account, again, this is subjective. There might be a gun that you're really good with, that you're really new with, or you have a lot of practice with. But this is just going to be a general thing to be able to help out people that are looking for some sort of guidance as they're starting to play the game. The two things that I'm going to be grading on, it'll be a little bit different than my other tier list. So the other one, we kind of went way into more in depth. It was a 50-minute long video. This one I'm going to try to make fairly short and just talk about two main things, which is the weapon good, and is it easy to learn? So without further ado, let's not make this video too long. We're going to go ahead and start out. We'll do the same weapon order as the other video, and I do recommend, if you have any questions, just to leave a comment down below. I also do recommend to check out that other video, because there is a possibility that you'll agree with that one a lot more if you play the game a lot more. So let's go ahead and go through them in the same order. The Magnum, for newer players, it's going to give good damage for you. So the two questions, is it good, and is it easy to learn? The Magnum is a pretty balanced gun overall. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just like right in the middle. And is it easy to learn? So you do need to learn a lot of trigger discipline with this gun to not mess with the recoil too much. The reload pattern isn't too hard, which is awesome, and the bullets do hit right in the middle of the scope when you're aiming, as long as you're not spraying too fast. But overall, for new players, I generally say the pistols aren't somewhere you generally want to start, just because you know, if someone's pushing you with an SMG or something and you're still getting the hang of aiming, it's too risky of an option to start off the game with, so not the best option to start right off the bat. The second gun we'll talk about is the CX4. I think the CX4 personally is one of the best guns that newer players can start with. I'm going to rank that at S+ tier for you. And the reason for this is it's got a good fire rate, and it deals out some good damage, and it's got a pretty decent clip. So this is a really good gun. If you're walking by it, you're starting off at the game, this will be one that you're always going to want to pick up to practice with. Is it good? It's very good, even at high rank. This is a very balanced gun. You're able to one-hand it very effectively. The fire rate got buffed, the damage got buffed. And is it easy to learn? It is very easy to learn. The accuracy, because the accuracy is so good, the reload's not hard at all. I think it's one of the best guns for newer players to start out with. The 1911 pistol. This one, again, same place as the Magnum. Is it good? It's probably middle of the road. Is it easy to learn? You got to learn kind of the fire rate on it and how fast it can fire. But again, when you're starting off the game, I definitely wouldn't recommend just starting off with the pistols, unless you really want to just try to peek around corners and one-hand them, or you can't find anything else on the drop. But definitely try to swap these out with, you know, some sort of SMG or the CX4 if you can find it. The Sako. The Sako is a really good gun overall. I would say that it's not too beginner-friendly of a gun, if that makes sense. So it's going to be a gun that has a very high skill cap. It does hit in the middle of the scope every time, as long as you take just a second between shots. You do have to bolt between every single shot, so that'll definitely slow you down a bit. But other than that, the reload's not too bad. And the damage is really good on it. But is it easy to learn? I mean, you really need to hit your shots with this thing, because you need to bolt after every single shot. So, and the range on it is closer mid-range, ideally. So I would say it's something, you know, you can definitely pick up and start practicing with it if you want to try to have some mid-range fights and realize how good the gun really is, but it's not something I would necessarily start out with. So we're going to put a B tier. It's better than the pistols just because of the damage output, and I think a lot of people actually underestimate how good newer players are at a lot of the sniper rifles. Next gun on the list is the M10 shotgun. So this is an auto shotgun. A lot of people don't know this, but you can actually just hold the trigger when you're using this gun, and it'll fire the rounds automatically. You don't need to pull for each press on this thing. The damage on it's really good. Is it good in general? Yep, at close range it's definitely really good, and it's really easy to learn. It does a lot of damage really quick, especially if someone's right next to you. And if you're not playing at high rating, a lot of people are going to have a hard time getting away from you. So I'm going to say this is another one of those guns that's really good to start out with, get some practice with. It's really good at lower levels for sure. The next thing would be the knife. It's really fun to run around and use this thing, and the movement speed, the 15% increase, is definitely going to help you out getting point A to point B. But it isn't really viable in terms of like rushing a gun with it or using it in a fight unless it's a last resort. Same as my other tier list, this thing's going to be a last resort. Is it good? It's all right. You know, if you just got rezzed, and it does ignore shields when you're attacking someone. So if someone did just stack up a lot of shields, the knife and the katana both will cut through shields, which is really awesome. Is it easy to learn? This thing's really hard to get hits with, so I definitely wouldn't recommend it starting for you guys. Next thing on the list is the op. Going from what I said earlier, a lot of people underestimate how good newer players actually are with the op. It is a little bit of a slow reload. You're going to have to bolt after every shot. It does do a lot of damage though, and I find that a lot of newer players have a really good time with the scope and being able to hit people from long range. A lot of people underestimate them. If you press forward on your thumbstick, you can actually zoom into 4 times with this thing, which is awesome, and that's a trick not a lot of newer players know, so definitely keep that in mind. If your hands are feeling especially shaky with this gun, try going into your settings and changing the motion dampening, because that might help you keep your aim steady a bit more. But I'm going to say that this is actually one of the guns you're going to want to pick up and start using, and it does do a lot of damage. But if someone's pushing close with you, you're going to want to swap off of it. But I'm going to go ahead and rank it in S tier for you guys, for your new players. The AK, AKM, this is a really good gun overall. Is it good? It had a recoil nerf. If you guys are just starting the game, you're not going to really realize how it was different beforehand. But if you can get used to the recoil pattern now, then that's going to be awesome for you. And the damage is pretty good. It can outdamage, you know, the UMP, and it might even outdamage the P90 if you're hitting all your shots in the head. I would say it's a gun, you know, you can hit some shots from mid-range and some close-range shots, and you can one-hand this gun, but the recoil is going to really hurt you, so make sure you take some time between bursts. I think that it's a gun that, because of how much you have to kind of think when you're using it, I'm going to put it next to the Sako for B tier, just because you have to be really aware of like how far your enemy is, your ammo count on it, you know, what stage of the recoil pattern you're going to need to deal with. So, you know, when you're landing, definitely pick this up and start using it, but not something I would recommend right off the bat for you guys. The P90, this thing has a ridiculously high ammo count. It's very forgiving, so I definitely recommend it for that. Is it good? The gun itself is pretty good, and it'll burn through walls really quickly. The damage on each bullet is pretty low though, so you need to be careful of that. But at low rank, before people start building a lot, this is going to be a really good gun, especially when, you know, someone's attacking you with UMP and you're attacking them with the P90. You're just going to have more bullets than them, so you're just going to be able to outdamage them generally. I'm going to say the P90 is in S tier in terms of where it belongs on a low tier list for you guys, just because of those factors. Next we got the M60, which is the LMG. This thing has a 4-step reload. First of all, is it good? It's really good at the high rank for sure. At low rank, a lot of people aren't building, and you do need to get used to the spin up rate of the gun so it can kind of hit that max stride. When you do start firing this gun, try to make sure you're not letting off the trigger even if someone goes behind cover, which is kind of a hard habit to break right off the bat because you don't want to waste ammo. But right after the 15th or 20th bullet is when this thing really starts kicking in, so you want to try to keep holding the trigger through that bullet. Is it easy to learn? The recoil pattern on this thing is pretty heavy. You do need to wait until, again, that 15th or 20th bullet before it'll chill out. And it does consume ammo really fast, so if you're not too good at looting yet, it will be really hard to manage those resources. So I definitely be careful picking this one up. Make sure you have the resources to handle the ammo count here. And then again, if it runs out of ammo, you're going to have a hard time with that reload, so just be super careful of that. I'm going to put that at B tier. I think that you're going to want to start practicing. B tier is going to be guns that you're going to want to start practicing with to try to rank up a little bit. The DT11, the shotgun, I say the shotguns and the snipers are things that people underestimate new players for being the best at. I'd say this is going to be a weapon you're going to want to probably pick up most of the time. It's really good close range. It doesn't have too much utility long range, but a lot of times when people are just figuring out how to climb, when they're figuring out the mechanics of the game, you don't really have to worry about too much of that. So we're going to go ahead and put the DT at A tier. Is it easy to learn? The recoil isn't hard at all. You only get 2 shots with it. And I definitely recommend shooting this thing one-handed. And the reload, once you get the reload down on this thing, I think that newer players are going to love it a lot. So I'm going to put this one at A tier for one that you're going to want to pick up a lot. I'd say newer players are going to like the M10 a lot more just because of the ammo count, and you can hold the trigger. It's a lot less thinking to use the M10, but this is definitely a good gun for you guys. The UMP, I'd say this is another one of those guns you're going to want to pick up just about all the time. Is it good? Yes, it's really good at low rank, especially when people are still learning the mechanics. You can one-hand this thing over walls really well. It has a decent ammo count. When people aren't fully geared up, when they're just learning to keep drinking those shield sodas, when they're learning how the mechanics of the game work, this is going to be a really good gun to use for you guys. Very, very easy to learn, and I think it's probably the best gun. I'm going to rank it in front of the CX4 here. Probably the best gun that newer players can start practicing with and using to learn the mechanics of the game a lot better. Next one, the PX4. This is another one. I'm going to put it down here with the rest of the pistols. It has a really good fire rate. Is it good? With all of the pistols are pretty decent, but they do require a lot of accuracy to use. So not something I'd recommend right off the bat. It is pretty decent. All of the pistols, even for high rank, aren't ranked super high in terms of picking them over other guns just because of their versatility. But definitely, you know, all these guns on this list, practice with a lot of them. This is going to be a what should you use if you're just starting to get into the game. These are going to be the guns you're going to want to pick at the top here. Next one, the MP5. This thing, is it good? It's really good at high rank. However, you do need to be using 2 hands while using it. And I feel like a lot of newer players, you know, when you're still learning the mechanics and everything, that's something that's not too important right off the bat for you guys. I'm going to put it right in the middle of terms of where it belongs. Is it easy to learn? It has an easy recoil pattern to learn, but it's not something that like you're going to want to pick over the UMP to start out with. The UMP is really easy to deal with the recoil. You can one-hand it. You can use it around walls. It's got a higher ammo count, so definitely pick the UMP over this thing. This is another one that's going to go in the middle of the road for you guys. Last one, MK18. This is another gun, middle of the road. Is it good? It's really good. Is it easy to learn? It hits right in the middle of the scope. You're definitely going to need to get used to using the hollow sights on this thing and probably holding it with 2 hands. Something I would recommend practicing with. It's very forgiving because you do have to, it doesn't consume ammo very fast, but you do have to pull the trigger for each burst. It does shoot in a 3-round burst, so you're going to need to get used to that. It's something that I'd definitely pick the CX4 over the MK to start out with. The MK, you do need to pull the trigger for each burst, whereas the CX4, even if you're holding the trigger down, it'll still go, it feels kind of like a semi-auto gun, but it'll still shoot pretty quick for you. And then the last thing, the Katana. I'm going to put the Katana down at B. Is it good? It's all right. It'll cut through shields like I mentioned earlier, along with the knife. The shield, if you hold the Katana with 2 hands, you'll actually pull up a shield that'll block bullets, and if you crouch, that'll protect your feet. The shield is not 100% reliable, so just be aware of that for now. Is it easy to learn? This is probably one of the harder things to learn in the game just because it has very, very specific uses. So not something I'd recommend using to kind of keep in your inventory or use actively as one of your weapons, but something if you want to kind of practice things or test out the melee in this game. This is the strongest melee weapon. There's only 2, but it is really fun to use. So if you do use the Katana, try to have a blast while you're using it. I'll go through the items pretty quick. I know a lot of utility isn't picked up by a lot of new players, but I'll just kind of let you know what you should be grabbing. We'll start with the Zone Grenade. Zone Grenade, a lot of people early rank aren't going to be playing, they're just going to kind of be, they're not going to be playing super tactically. They're going to be kind of just running towards people, they're going to be running away from the zone, so you're not going to have to worry about the Zone Grenade too much. It does cost an entire inventory slot to have one of these, so it's not something I'd recommend keeping in your inventory until you kind of understand its uses. Frag Grenade does a lot of damage. You can hold 2 of them in slot, but again, a lot of the time for newer players, they're learning the mechanics of the game, they're trying to run away from the zone, they're trying to survive. Survival is going to be the main thing for you guys. I'm going to put it at B tier for you guys. The damage is really good and you can hold 2 of them, but I would recommend carrying healing items to start out with, and I'm going to actually rank both the health soda and the shield soda at A tier for you. These things, they only require 1 motion to use. You just pop, or 2 motions, you pop the tab and then you drink it. So I think they're really good for newer players to learn the mechanics. The shield soda will help you regen 50 shields each shield soda, and the health soda is 50 health. I would definitely say try to keep a stack of these on you just to heal when you're out of fights, or even mid fights if you can get away. Definitely try to get used to building as well in this game. That's something you're going to want to really get used to, that'll save your life. And then the last thing, the banana. The banana takes 4 peels, so 1 peel of each side, and then you do need to put it in your mouth to eat it. So quite a few actions to use it, but it does heal 50 health instantly. I'm going to go ahead and rank this with the other sodas. The healing items in this game, you're definitely going to want to hold on to probably 3 shield sodas and either a couple bananas or 3 health sodas when you're playing the game. They're going to be good to keep in your inventory. Ideal loadout for you guys, probably UMP, CX4, either UMP CX4 or CX4 DT. If you want to swap out, if you want more long range, swap out the op, or even give up one of your healing items for the op. So probably 3 weapons for you guys: UMP CX4 op, or UMP CX4 M10 is what you're going to want to be aiming for. And then, rotate the P90 out for the UMP if you want that instead. And then the rest of your inventory should just be healing items of any order. If you want to start testing out with that grenade, you can definitely give that a shot. But this is where I'd rank all of the items for newer players in terms of what you guys should be aiming for when you're just starting to learn the game. All of these weapons are fairly easy to learn. They have a lot of ammo count. They're very forgiving, so these are what you're going to want to be aiming for. And everything in A and B tier are weapons you're going to want to pick up to start practicing with, because they're all pretty good weapons in general. But this is my unofficial new player tier list. Let me know if you think I did a good job with it. I think overall, new players are very underestimated for specific guns, and I hope that you guys have a great time trying to figure out how to play the game. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. I'll definitely respond to everything as I can, and I hope you guys have a great time playing. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you're interested in more VR and Pop 1 content, then hit the subscribe button. I'll be streaming live on Twitch for a couple hours after this video goes up. Catch you guys there.